Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on Modern Dads. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. Fathers today are facing more complex challenges than ever before. An unsteady job market and the rising costs of raising children, along with changing family dynamics, can ramp up the pressure. And they have to navigate it all. The good news is more dads are doing it better, and we're celebrating all of them. We're seeing more and more images of fathers across the socioeconomic spectrum who are actively involved in their children's lives. But according to the U.S. Census, there are still about 1 in 4 children in America, 17.8 million, who are growing up without a father in the house. The National Fatherhood Initiative found that the absence of a biological, step, or adoptive father at home is a risk factor for poverty, behavioral problems, crime, teen pregnancy, and substance abuse. It's an issue in every community, but for years was disproportionately high among Black families. Now that trend is reversing, and it's good news.
We've seen the greatest movement in a positive direction in the proportion of children and the number of children in the Black community growing up with their dads.
LBL is a fast-rising new hip-hop artist from New Jersey and a father of 5. He's known for his energy and charisma, as well as his tough lyrics focusing on the dangers of the streets. But when it comes to his 3 daughters, he's a proud girl dad all the way, taking them for group mani-pedis and sponsoring his little cheerleader and her team.
It's a dope experience, because it's like I'm entering my daughter's world, and it's something that she's real passionate about. I watched her lose and cry. I watch her win and celebrate.
Omari Maynard became a single father of 3 children in 2019 after his partner, Shamani, unexpectedly died after giving birth to their youngest child. They had planned their life together and were building their family's future. Then, while coping with his heartbreaking loss, he had to learn to raise their children by himself while dealing with many new challenges.
Figuring out if I'm doing it right, if I'm parenting correctly, trying not to lose myself in parenting, making sure that I'm still pouring into Omari and not just Anari, Kari, and Uriah's dad.
Let's take a closer look at modern dads with our amazing panel who are bringing us a variety of perspectives. Joining us for this conversation is Christopher Brown. He's president of the National Fatherhood Initiative. Christopher, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks, Lisa. It's an honor to be here.
We really appreciate it. Also with us is Omari Maynard. He's the father of 3. Omari, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Also joining us is LBL. He's a hip hop artist and he's a father of 5. LBL, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be a part of this.
Yeah, great to have you back on Street Soldiers. So, LBL, I'm going to start with you on this. People would want to know, how is it possible to be a father of 5 with the kind of career that you have, where you're out, you're promoting, you're doing shows? How do you manage all that?
It's kind of hard. It's really hard, because I work long hours and long nights or whatever, but no matter whatever's important, whenever my kids need me, I always got to make time for family. So that part right there is that's a part of my schedule. But I know sometimes when I get real busy and I'm gone or whatever, I know it probably bothers them or whatever. That's why I always try to make up real big, you know what I mean? Just try to come through real big. If my girls, I'm a girl dad too. So when my girls, I just pick them up, go get their feet done, their nails done, get them right. You know what I'm saying? Hear it up. They love that.
That's going above and beyond for the dad. That's awesome. Christopher Brown, in terms of how fatherhood has evolved, you're a grandfather now also, and your 2 girls are grown. What do you see? Do you see any changes, or is it just us seeing this in our own circles?
No, we're seeing dramatic changes from in younger generations. So we know for some significant research, in particular, that was done by the Pew Center for Research, that younger dads, millennials, Gen Z dads, are more committed to being responsible fathers. In fact, the research shows that being a dad is more of a central part of younger dads' identities than it was in older generations.
No, that's so interesting. Omari, in terms of you have 3 children, you're a single dad. Tell us what you find most rewarding about being a father.
When I'm dropping my kids off to school, taking them to school, picking them up, and having those intimate moments with them and seeing fathers doing the same thing with their children. Like I know that it's been a huge difference from when I was growing up and going to school, with my mother, and I didn't really see that, So I think more than anything, to answer your question is those intimate times, having an opportunity to take them to school, having an opportunity to do homework, them watching me clean and us doing it together. It's those moments that I know for me are the deepest and most heartfelt.
Let me just piggyback off what Amari just said. So, in terms of looking at single fathers, I mean, one of the things that we're seeing is a rapid increase in the number of single fathers. These are single custodial dads. So, since 1970, the proportion of all single parents who are single dads has risen by 145%. And that's a dramatic increase. So we've got right now over a quarter of all single parents or single fathers. So just a reflection of what's happening with these dads. They're stepping up to the plate and they're taking responsibility and being active in the lives of their kids.
Albie, you wanted to say something there. What about that?
I grew up without a father, so like I just try to like be there for my kids, like how I would want somebody to be there for me. Like one of my daughters, she cheers, like she travel chair, like she's really into that. Like I'm a chair dad. I go do all of that. And then at the same time, like I've been incarcerated like for like most of their life in and out of the jail system. So I try to make things happen like so they could feel me every chance and just let them know like whatever I missed out on, I'm gonna go hard for them and just show them like what life what a father should feel like.
We'll be back right after this. Amari, what about the financial pressures on fathers right now?
Yeah, no, that's huge. So kind of to bring it back a little bit, my life partner, Shamani Gibson, she passed away in 2019, October 2019, giving birth to our youngest child.
I'm so sorry.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. The silver lining is that my community, like they galvanize me, they protect me and my children, like they're lock and step with me. So, I'm just super thankful and super appreciative. But, I bring that up just for the simple fact that when she transitioned and now like I have this new child and trying to figure out how to navigate the world completely different from what I expected and what I was wanting to do, because the plan was to be with my partner and now I'm just doing this by myself. And at the time I was teaching high school math and geometry and algebra. And, as rewarding as that is, it doesn't pay the bills, honestly. By the time I got my check, I had enough for daycare and then I had to figure out the rest, and I say that all to say that I know a lot of men who've been in my situation or who's just trying to navigate, these rates of living in America. Like it's just crazy in terms of what we have to pay and what we have to produce in order to create the income. And I think for me, again, the shift came with community, making sure, of course, that I had some savings to lean on. But I think more like, I had to really just honestly look into myself and say, what do I need to do in order to create opportunities for myself? And I quit my job and then I started creating. So I started painting, creating portraits, creating my own business as well as my own foundation called the ARIA Foundation. And it stands for the Advancement of Reproductive Innovation through Artistry and Healing. That's just my personal experience. It wasn't an easy road to say the least, but it was super fulfilling because now it's provided me the opportunity to take my kids to school, to, be able to work with people and individuals, organizations, and corporations that are aligned with my morals and values, and also to, of course, honor my partner and make sure that I'm telling her story.
Exactly. Christopher, any evidence about the economic pressures impact on fatherhood now?
Absolutely. I'm so sorry, Amari, that happened to your life partner. And it underscores something that we're seeing in this country and we're just now really acknowledging, which is the crisis around maternal and infant mortality in the Black community. It's huge. And at National Fatherhood Initiative, we're partnering with lots of community-based organizations that have realized the importance of involving expectant and new dads in raising their children, and are using responsible fatherhood as a platform for addressing that crisis. The fact is, and here's some good news, for the first time since the mid-'70s, we now have more than half of all Black children growing up with their dads. So father absence has most negatively impacted the Black community. And we've seen the most dramatic increases in recent years in Black children growing up with their dads. And that's just a testament to Black dads who are excellent fathers. We know from a lot of research that's been done around the involvement of non-resident fathers that Black fathers are actually more involved than any racial or ethnic group that's been involved in this research.
Albiel, what about the money pressures? What are you seeing and feeling about the economic hardships on dads?
It's hard because it's like it's consistent, but at the same time, it's my motivation at the same time with me. Like it feel good to be relied on and know that I'm counted on. So it makes me get up out of bed and make me go do what I gotta do every single day. You know what I mean? Like I'm like somebody needs me. And it's not just my kids. I don't just like take care of my kids. My brother was killed through gun violence. I take care of my nephew. My friends that's locked up, incarcerated, I pull up, make sure their kids is straight. I do things for them, you know. So I just try to like just be a good friend, be a good father, everything, you know. Just an honorable man alone, you know. So like I said, it's very, very expensive. Especially that cheering. The cheering is so expensive. Let's not. Know what I mean? But
no, totally. Because tell us a little bit about that, because that's a big thing. The cheer.
It's so expensive because it's like they don't pay for it. They like I put so much money into it. Like they would take like probably like $2,000 out of my account because it's automatic withdrawal, and then I don't see the results. But I see they do good cheering, like the coaches and everything. But it's no traveling fees come with it. So like just last week I had to take my daughter to Disney World, so I had to pay for the flight for Disney World, the hotels in Disney World, and then my daughter want to go to Disney World, you know. So it's just like so I can't just bring one. I got to bring the whole squad, you know. So like, but I do what I got to do and I make sure I get it done. But at the same time, like I would be lying if I say it ain't a lot. But like I said, it's my motivation and just feel good to be relied on.
Omar, you talk about the importance of community, especially after your life partner died during giving birth to your youngest child. Give us a sense of how that manifested and how you saw that and how you relied on that.
So after we came home with our son, with Kari, a couple of days later, I want to say 2 or 3 days later, Shamani was complaining about having chest pains, you know, and we were, thankfully, you know, we already have been rooted in the community, and Shamani's mother actually has been in the maternal health space for decades, you know, so we knew the signs and symptoms, and we have personal relationships. So we were contacting the hospital, letting them know what was going on. And, you know, they were saying like, you know, let her just rest and relax. And honestly, you know, she ended up having a blood clot. So that was that was the worst thing that she could have done, because, you know, like I said, 13 days later, she ended up coding. But the beautiful piece about this is that when she did pass, and because we knew what was going on, we had community. We called our family, we called our friends, we called for support. I'm just super thankful for that, because again, like I talk to fathers in this space all the time, you know, and they just don't, it's not like that, you know. They don't have relationships with the, you know, mother-in-law. They don't have really strong relationships with community. So, you know, once, you know, the repass is over, nobody's really checking for them and they got to do it themselves.
Right.
You know, and, you know, it's important that, you know, we hold space and allow men to understand that there are men who are going through the same thing and that there is support if they need it. You know, even if that support is just an hour conversation or, you know, hey, a text, you know, checking in, because those things go a long way. So that's what I try to provide, the foundation provides, and, you know, we make it happen for it.
Yeah, that speaks to a lot of the work that we do at National Fatherhood Initiative, which is creating supportive communities of fathers. Because one of the things that, you know, regardless of the culture that you're talking about, most men are not raised to share information around parenting. In fact, it's kind of frowned upon. So men, as compared to women, dads as compared to moms, are more reticent to seek out assistance for a variety of things, including parenting. So we have the leading evidence-based parenting programs designed specifically for dads in the country. 24/7 Dad, which is used in communities, and Inside Out Dad, which is used in correctional facilities. And so what we do is we build capacity in human service organizations to run these programs and use other resources. And they are support-based. The transformation that you see when men get together and for the first time are in a supportive environment where they can be emotionally intimate about their parenting struggles just transforms them.
Albie, you were incarcerated, as you told us. The guys that are inside now, what do you tell them about maintaining relationships with their kids while they're behind bars?
I think it's very important for them to, like, no matter what, like, just it's so many things that you could, it's so many things you can't do in jail that you can do on the streets, but in jail you can still make things happen. Like, as far as like making, like drawing pictures for your kids, sending things out to them. Kids love that, you know what I mean? It's to feel like this, to know that they're being thought about, you know? So like, and I always like, I got a bunch of friends that be around me, and most of us are fathers. So like, we don't really like rock with the deadbeats. Like, for me, like, because you got to think about it, like, this is how I look at a deadbeat. Like, if you're not willing to take care of your kids, you know, like, how can I expect you to like be there, an uncle to mine, or like, you know, like, be there for mine if something ever happened to me?
Yeah, let me speak to the challenge with being connected as an incarcerated father. So the fact is that when we look at the population of all parents, moms and dads in prison, 92% of all parents in prison are dads. Mm-hmm. And so when our corrections facilities run our Inside Out Dad program, it gets incarcerated fathers together. And that's very important, because what the research shows is that the risk of recidivism is greatly reduced when you create connections between incarcerated individuals and their family. So what our programming does is it helps prepare incarcerated fathers to successfully transition back into the lives of their families and communities. And the research shows that that reduces recidivism. So it's really important that we think about how can we reach even more fathers in an incarcerated setting, because that will reduce the overall prison population, and it shows that it breaks the intergenerational cycle that we often see in incarceration.
What about setting boundaries? Because like one of the big boundaries too is, and it starts at a very young age, as you guys know, is this social media and the phones and all of that. How do you set boundaries with that, Albial?
That's another hard thing, right? Because like, I'm Albial, right? So my kids are Albial kids. So when they go to school, they like, they feel like they gotta be like the most popular, they gotta be the best dressed, they gotta have everything. And I just let them know, if you want these things, you gotta keep these grades up. If they showing me results that they deserve these things, is I got no choice but to get it. Is make me go harder.
Christopher, what do you think makes a good dad?
Yeah, so one of the things that underlies the key foundation for our evidence-based fatherhood programs are 5 characteristics, and those are self-awareness, caring for yourself. Dads have to care for their physical and mental health in order for them to be there like their children need them to be. And one of the things we do very poorly in this country and in many cultures is raise men to care for their physical and especially their mental health. There's also fathering skills. Research shows that men bring unique skills to the parenting equation. That's why children, on average, do so well when they're raised with both of their parents, because they bring different skill sets to the table in raising their kids. Then there's parenting skills. And one of the things our programs teach is the difference between punishment and discipline. And finally, relationship skills, because a lot of what our kids learn growing up, they look to their parents as the blueprint for all of the relationships that they will establish in their lives. And so we teach men how to have effective relationships with mom or the other main caretaker of children, the other parents' partners, but also other men and individuals in the community. So those are those 5 characteristics that really make for a great dad.
No, that's so interesting. Omari, what do you think makes a great dad?
I think I just want to add one more thing to that. What my mom and my grandmother really instilled in me was that when I walked out that door, like I was carrying their name. Like, so when people saw me, I was representing them. You know, and for me, like, I try to make sure that I instill that in my children. And especially too, for a lot of men not growing up with their fathers, it's important that they are intergenerational experiences that our children are having, right? So like, if it's not a grandfather, the grandfather figure. If it's not a father, the father figure. If it's not, you know, the bigger son or the older cousin, you got to create that community so that they can get guidance and, you know, tools from everybody, from each level. I think that would allows for our children to just be more holistic people.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on Modern Dads. You can watch it again on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page and anytime on the Fox Local app on your TV. Remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.